Welcome to this presentation on how people use ChatGPT. Based on a large scale study covering global usage patterns between November 2022 and July 2025, we'll explore key insights about work versus non work use, conversation topics, user intent, and demographic trends. This research, conducted by OpenAI in collaboration with Duke and Harvard universities, offers unprecedented visibility into real world generative AI adoption. This study reveals several important findings about ChatGPT usage worldwide. First, as of June 2025, about 70% of all messages are non work related, showing faster growth in personal use compared to professional contexts. Second, nearly 80% of conversations fall into just three categories: practical guidance, seeking information, and writing. Third, while early adopters were mostly male, the gender gap has narrowed dramatically. By mid 2025, slightly more active users had typically feminine names. Finally, adoption has grown especially fast in low and middle income countries, suggesting broad global accessibility. ChatGPT usage is increasingly personal rather than professional. In June 2024, non work messages accounted for 53% of usage, but by June 2025, that share grew to 73%. Work related use remains significant among highly educated professionals in knowledge intensive jobs, where it primarily supports decision making. Writing tasks like drafting emails or editing documents make up 40% of work usage. Meanwhile, non work conversations often involve practical life advice, learning new skills, or creative ideation, reflecting ChatGPT's role as a versatile personal assistant beyond the workplace. Nearly 80% of all ChatGPT conversations fall into three main categories: practical guidance, such as tutoring, how to advice, or creative brainstorming, accounts for 29% of total usage and is the single largest category. Seeking information, which includes queries about current events, products, or facts, makes up 24% and closely resembles traditional web search. Writing, including editing, summarizing, and drafting communications, also represents 24% of total usage but dominates work contexts at 40%. Notably, only 4.2% of messages relate to computer programming, challenging assumptions about coding being a primary use case. Beyond topics, we classify user intent into three types: asking, doing, and expressing. Seeking information or advice to inform decisions makes up 49% of messages. Examples include, how do I create a budget? Or what's the difference between correlation and causation? Doing involves requesting the AI to perform a task, like drafting an email or writing code, and accounts for 40% of usage. Expressing, where users share feelings without seeking action, comprises 11%. Importantly, asking messages are growing faster than doing and receive higher user satisfaction ratings, suggesting ChatGPT's greatest value lies in supporting human judgment rather than replacing it. ChatGPT's user base has evolved significantly since its 2022 launch. Initially, about 80% of active users had typically masculine first names, but by June 2025, that figure dropped to 48%, with a slight majority now having typically feminine names. Age-wise, users under 26 account for nearly half of all adult messages, though this gap is narrowing. Additionally, adoption has accelerated in lower-income countries, with disproportionate growth in nations earning $10,000, $40,000 GDP per capita. These trends suggest ChatGPT is becoming more inclusive and globally accessible over time. Usage varies meaningfully by occupation. Highly educated professionals in management, business, and technical fields are significantly more likely to use ChatGPT for work-related tasks. Among these groups, writing dominates, accounting for over 50% of work messages and management roles. In contrast, computer-related occupations show higher use of technical help, especially programming assistance. Despite these differences, one pattern holds universally. The top work activities supported by ChatGPT across all professions are obtaining information, documenting data, and making decisions. This underscores its role as a cognitive co-pilot rather than just a task automator. The economic value of ChatGPT stems less from automating routine tasks and more from enhancing human decision-making. In knowledge-intensive jobs where output depends on judgment, creativity, and problem-solving, access to instant, high-quality information and reasoning support directly boosts productivity. This explains why asking interactions are both more common among professionals and rated higher in quality. The model acts less like a replacement worker and more like an always available advisor or research assistant, amplifying human expertise rather than substituting for it. To summarize a core finding from this landmark study, ChatGPT provides economic value through decision support, especially in knowledge-intensive jobs. This insight reframes how we should think about generative AI not merely as a tool for efficiency, but as a cognitive enhancer that helps professionals make better choices faster. Whether it's a manager drafting strategy, a teacher designing lessons, or an engineer troubleshooting code, the real power lies in augmenting human judgment, not replacing human roles. In conclusion, this research reveals four major insights. First, non-work usage now dominates ChatGPT interactions, growing from 53% to 73% in just 1 year. Second, when used for work, writing-related tasks, especially editing and drafting, are by far the most common application. Third, asking interactions, where users seek guidance to inform decisions, are not only more prevalent, but also growing faster and rated higher in quality than task execution requests. Finally, ChatGPT adoption is becoming increasingly global and inclusive, with narrowing gender gaps, strong youth engagement, and accelerated uptake in lower-income countries, suggesting broad societal impact beyond elite professional circles.